Going to throw. Drake picked up the pressure. All alone is Zay Jones, and he will prance into the end zone.
First down out near midfield for the Raiders. They handle the rush. Carr hits the open man.
7 different receivers. Deep downfield. That is caught. And taking it to the end zone is Brian Edwards. Touchdown.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. Joining me, we have Trevor and Stoner as usual. Today, we are going to be talking about Derek Carr because Washington is so desperate for a quarterback. We're going to be talking about pretty much all of them that may or may not be available this free agents, this offseason. All right. So if there is a player that you would like us to talk about, QB or otherwise, just leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell so that way you can see all the great content that we put out. Let's get to Derek Carr to DC to DC. Let's start with Trevor. Do you think that Washington, if Derek Carr becomes available, because that's the first thing that needs to happen, okay, as Derek Carr needs to become available, he still has 1 year on the contract with the Las Vegas Raiders, but with their coach up in the air, they might not retain his services. They might blow it up and try to start anew, which, may be the route they go, even though they did make the playoffs this offseason. If Derek Carr becomes available because they picked the wrong coach or the coach wants to go in a different direction, do you think Washington should go after him?
No, and no. Number one, we'll be looking for a quarterback the next 2 or 3 years if it doesn't work for Derek Carr, and we really don't have time for that. Second, he's been in the league 8, almost 9 years already. First postseason appearance. Well, okay, not first, but first notable one that he actually led the team to and got in. I think he's good, but he's just a better version of Taylor Heineke. He doesn't wow you. He doesn't wow me, at least. I think when it's time to get a quarterback, we need somebody here for the long term. Like I said, not 2 or 3 years. I feel like he's a bridge quarterback, and we really don't have time for that either. It's time to get the quarterback for the future right now. Look what he had to do to get in the playoffs. He had to either win or go for a tie in order to get to the playoffs. So it's like we beat the Raiders this year with the team that we had with Taylor Heineke as well. So I mean, it's like, I'm saying no, keep looking. Next. #next.
Trevor does make the point that Washington was able to take down Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders here recently. Stoner, you got to see him up close and personal during that game. Do you think that Derek Carr has enough stuff to propel Washington into the next stage of their franchise?
So you guys think that you know exactly what's in my head and you know what I'm going to say, right? Well, let me just say this. Trevor was sitting there that whole time talking, and I am sitting there just biting my lip. You saw me, right? Because I wanted to jump in at every opportunity, but I couldn't.
You could have.
So I'm going to say something that you guys are not expecting, okay?
Okay.
You do whatever it takes to get Derek Carr to DC. If you can't get the big boys. If you can't get the Aaron Rodgers, the Russell Wilson, and the Deshaun Watson, he is that next guy.
Okay.
We can talk about all of the different quarterbacks.
So if there's the S tier of the Rodgers, Watsons, Wilsons, you're saying that Carr's an A tier quarterback.
I don't understand the reference. The S tier and A tier.
Okay, so Stoner, let's say if the big guys aren't available, Derek Carr is literally the very next quarterback you go after.
Of
before
those
before Mariota, before Jameis Winston, before any other quarterback of that tier, Derek Carr is the quarterback you go after next if you can't get the big dog.
100%. Absolutely. He's the guy after all of the big guys. If you can't get the big guys, which I don't think they're going to get the big guys. So he's the next one. He has 1 year left on his contract. So he's available. I think he's going to be available. Why Mariota? He can't beat Derek Carr out for a job. Why would you think he'd be better than better than Derek Carr? Derek Carr is 30 years old. He's in the prime of his football career as a quarterback, and he's only getting better and better and better. No, he has not been this guy who every year goes to the playoffs. He's done it twice. You can't say once. He's done it twice. The last time he led his team to a 12-3 record before he got hurt. That was his team that went to the playoffs, and then he got hurt. So he led that team to the playoffs. Just like Carson Wentz led the Eagles to the playoffs that one year. Nick Foles took him the rest of the way. But Carson Wentz got him there.
It wasn't just the playoffs. They won a Super Bowl.
I know, but I'm saying Carson Wentz got them to the playoffs, and Nick Foles took them the rest of the way.
You took that from me.
No, I thought you said Carson Wentz did not lead them to the Super Bowl.
No,
of course he did.
Argue.
Yeah, just like Derek Carr led his team to the playoffs. This is the second time. Look, he's not a world beater, but he's a 30-year-old excellent quarterback. He was up for MVP in 2016 as well. If he had not gotten hurt,
that was 4 or 5 years ago, bro.
Yeah, but he hasn't fallen off a cliff since then.
But he's fallen off
since then. He's steady. So
every year he's throwing mid-20 touchdowns at least.
Trev compared him a little bit to Taylor Heineke. I think the more apt comparison it is. I think it is horrible.
No,
I think the more apt comparison is Kirk Cousins.
It's not.
Yeah. And this level of QB play that is going to be good enough to win games. But Trev, you're absolutely right. Trev's this way.
Gosh.
Trev, you're right. I think it's good enough QB play to not get you to that next level, where we were talking about, right? So Washington's next step, if they're looking to make the playoffs consistently, I do think Derek Carr, but then again, he's had the pieces occasionally in Las Vegas / Oakland with the Raiders to, surrounding him. He's not going to have necessarily the same playmakers here as he's had in his tenure with the Raiders. And the defense here is better. So with that, potentially this could be a perennial playoff team with a player of Derek Carr's abilities. But is Derek Carr enough to get them to a NFC championship game?
No, he won't even get us to the playoffs. He'll get us in a situation where we're just in. We have to have somebody else lose for us to get in, or we have to win or tie for us to get in. We'll be in the same exact position as he was in LA / Oakland. And we don't need that. It's time to move on from that. That's not getting any better. That's not doing anything. But what's he going to do? He's going to build his stats up. Cool. We'll have better stats than Taylor Heineke. We'll still miss the playoffs.
Yes. However, I tend to agree that he's not that top tier quarterback. But when you're looking at what you have available to you, Ron Rivera is not going to bring in a bridge quarterback and a rookie quarterback. He's not going to do that. He doesn't have the time for that.
Okay, so why would he bring in Derek Carr? That's what Derek Carr is. Derek Carr is a bridge quarterback.
He's not a bridge quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback, as he has been a franchise quarterback for Vegas / Oakland for 8 years. He's been
He's played
once.
Played in a playoff.
He's led his team to two playoffs.
How many playoff wins does he have in 8 years?
He has 0.
How many playoff wins did Taylor Heineke have?
0.
Okay. We're not going anywhere for Derek Carr.
But he's obviously way, way better than Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, that part is totally undeniably true.
But the result is the same.
You don't know that for sure. You get a good quarterback in here.
We just went to Vegas and beat Derek Carr with the worst quarterback, and we both didn't win a playoff game.
That's a fair point,
Tom Brady lost to the worst quarterback in the game. Are you going to say Tom Brady should not come here? Tom Brady lost to Taylor Heineke.
You're going to
call ouch! You're calling Taylor Heineke the worst QB in the game? I don't know if I'd go that far.
One of the worst starting quarterbacks in the game.
One of the worst starting quarterbacks.
Yeah,
fair.
Absolutely.
So that's one of your points, though, Stoner, is that you look at the teams and the better QB is going to win. And
exactly.
And Derek Carr did not win.
No,
it took a perfect storm for Washington to beat Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. It was just for the Raiders, they didn't exactly play quite as dominant as they did against
Derek
Tampa
Carr,
Bay.
Thank you.
So what about Derek Carr is is appealing. So, because this is not a free agent. This isn't somebody who they can sit there and just be like, okay, we didn't get our guy via trading, so we're just going to dump a ton of money at this guy and hope that he accepts it and comes here. This is going to be something you have to offer a trade package for. And to Stoner's credit here, Trev, he is 30. He's in his prime, and he is a quality QB, one of the top 15 QBs, which is going to be costly for Washington to trade for. So because at 30 years old, you're talking you have at least 5 to 7 years worth of good QB play left in that player.
But how do we know, for one, it's going to be good QB play? Because has he been a good QB this far? Minus his past year and the year before that, has he?
He's
really
had
been
quality stats. Again, he's top half of the league as far as the QB.
Still no playoffs. And second, there's nobody on the team I would give up for Derek Carr. No, there's no way. Not for Derek Carr. No way.
Let me ask you this.
He's not proven anything. He hasn't proven anything, and it's time for us to have somebody in here outside of a rookie that's proven something.
But that's the problem. That's the problem. Is you can't. There isn't anybody that you can get.
Yes, you can.
We're doing all this. We're doing all this on the assumption that you can't get Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers.
There's
Deshaun
other quarterbacks
Watson.
out there besides Derek Carr.
Who's available?
So we're gonna have to do a tier list.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G is your guy.
Okay.
Yep.
We're going to have to talk about Jimmy G once Jimmy G comes available.
He's obviously
you can already check him off the list of players we'll talk about.
Do me a favor. Can you look up Derek Carr's starting record right now for me?
Yes. 57-70.
Ooh, he had it on the
Really?
Yeah.
57 and 70.
I mean,
so
I'm looking at it.
Jimmy Garoppolo is 30 something and what? 14 now.
Wins are a team stat.
Wait before I was going to ask you who said this, Trevor. Who said this? I'm going to give you a quote, and I want you to tell me who said this. Wins are not attributed to quarterbacks. Who said that? Trevor Storer said that. Did he not?
I never said that.
I wish I would have had the crickets ready.
Oh, you never said that? Or maybe that was Nathan that's always said
that.
It's probably me. I am big on the wins are not a QB stat. And I will say this about Jimmy G real quick. We're not going to spend time on Jimmy G because that's going to be a whole nother video. Jimmy G reminds me of Alex Smith. I said this before because he might not be the most exciting play, but he just wins games. All right. Derek Carr, exciting play, doesn't always win games. Reminds me of Kirk Cousins. And I'm sorry, that part right there scares me the daylights because Kirk Cousins is another QB that might be available because Minnesota has to look at whether or not they're doing that.
We ain't talking about him.
If you want us, if you want us to talk about Kirk Cousins, you're going to have to leave comments to let us know that you want Kirk Cousins back in DC and you want us to talk about it. Because otherwise, I don't think we have a desire for that to happen here on this. And in that same regards, you're talking about giving up resources to have a very similar skill set. Because Ron Rivera, you talked about the coach, right? Ron Rivera and Scott Turner have both talked about their ideal QB, someone who's quick twitch, somebody who's got, some legs, somebody who's, doing all this other stuff. That does not describe Derek Carr to me.
Nah, dog.
Not that Derek Carr's a bad QB. I'm with you. Yeah. He is a top 16, top half of the league QB, and Washington would do well with him. The question on whether or not Washington should give up resources for him if they can't get one of those top tier, which is the S tier for Stoner's sake here.
I still don't understand the tier.
After the show, I'll walk you through the tier system.
All right.
But if you can't get one of the top tier, do you go after Derek Carr? I don't know that that's the right answer. There are other options
here, like S tier, Stoner's tier,
S tier, Stoner tier.
And then the next tier is after that.
The dream tier.
So I'm going to cut you off, Nathan, but that's what it means, dude. That's easy.
I just don't understand the reference. Where's it come from?
We'll get you there.
Instead of the top tier.
All right, we're derailed it. I'm cutting. Stoner, cut this part out.
Your version.
I'm quiet.
Your version of the top tier is Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. So he
Right.
labeled it the S tier for Stoner's tier.
Well, where's the A come from then?
A
Moving
will
along.
be the next
Literally,
tier
I'm going
after
to
the
mute you.
top tier.
Okay.
Which
We are muting the two of them so that way we can continue along in the actual conversation at hand here. Okay, so the conversation at hand here was with Derek Carr, whether or not he should come to Washington. And we've determined that Stoner says only if we can't get one of the top tier targets. Trev says no way. I'm not really excited about him. Don't really think they should go that way. We'll have to talk more on what way Washington should go. So we'll do another video on which way Washington should go on the QB route later on after we talk about more individual QBs. But I think that's going to wrap up as I unmute these two for our Derek Carr conversation, because we are looping into each other here and you guys are talking about tiers instead of the actual conversation at hand. So that's going to end the Derek Carr conversation.
Thank you, because it ain't
I
happening.
have much more to say about this Derek
Why?
Carr
There's really
situation.
nothing else to
There's
happen,
nothing else
bro.
to say.
Nothing.
The piece
right,
was
Stoner,
said. Stoner,
go.
if you can give us new information right now, I will not close the loop.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to break down here, right?
Then why
What
are you
willing-
talking about tiers?
Well, because I was confused, and plus Trev asked, so I mean, Trev was trying to explain it. But my question is, what are you willing to give up for Derek Carr?
I was going to ask you
Are
that.
either of
Okay.
you giving
Nothing.
anything up for Derek
No.
Carr?
Draft
So you're
pick,
not trading home for him at all.
no
I think
players.
realistically, what it
player.
would take to get him is probably, you're looking at a Stafford level deal. You're looking at a couple firsts and you realistically, Trevor, that's what you're looking at.
And I don't want to do that for Derek Carr.
I don't disagree, Trev. I think that's probably too high of a cost to ask.
What would you do, Stoner?
I
Because,
think
you know,
it's,
you-
I
you
don't know
love
if
to
it's
get rid
a
of everybody.
Stafford level. I think it's probably a little bit less than that, but
You don't think two
point is-
firsts and a second or a third
probably not. I think
for
it'll be a little bit closer.
QB, a top,
No, not Derek
15
Carr.
QB who's in his prime. You don't
nothing.
think that's going to cost you?
Everybody's
Stafford's
in
at
their
the
prime.
twilight of his career.
But
He's
he's
not
good.
Twilight.
He's
And
good.
plus, he's
How
much
old
more
is Stafford?
accomplished. Maybe
Oh yeah, he's way
32
more
maybe?
accomplished. How many
32.
playoff wins does Stafford have?
0.
Okay, thank
But he's
you.
been
Yeah.
playoffs more than Derek Carr.
Who
Okay,
has?
well, he's had like
Stafford?
twice as many years to do it.
I gotta look him up. I don't think he's been the playoffs that
I
much.
wouldn't. I don't think
Maybe
he's
once.
Derek Carr. I don't think is worth 2 firsts and a second because he hasn't
Probably
done anything.
not.
30-year-old QB who's top 15.
No. So what? That doesn't mean he hasn't done anything. He hasn't won anything. He hasn't proven anything.
I don't
Kirk
think you guys
Cousins has the
understand
same
how
thing.
valuable
Would you
QBs
give
are.
that same?
That's
would you
what
do
I'm
that-
saying.
Would you give that same thing for Kirk Cousins?
I think that's what it will take to move.
Yeah.
You would give 2 first rounders and a second rounder for
No,
Kirk Cousins.
you're misunderstanding. I'm not saying I would give it. I'm saying
Not
that's what it's
you,
going to
but-
take.
So you think it would that same deal? It would take for Kirk Cousins to go somewhere for that?
Probably
same deal?
two firsts, if not 2 firsts, a first and like a second or a third. Easily.
Okay, well let's do that for Derek Carr because if you compare Derek Carr as like a Kirk Cousins, there's no way Derek Carr gets 2 first rounders.
I would
and
not
Kirk
be
Cousins
surprised to
gets
see
1
it
first rounder.
cost you. I mean, you're talking again about a 30-year-old QB who still has 5 to 7 years left.
But he hasn't done anything.
Okay, but he's a team is going to look at being able to take this QB, and that's going to take them to the next level because they think that they are in a better position than the Raiders have been. And for the record, what he was able to do with the Raiders team that you're talking about limping into the playoffs, they had just about as much, if not more, issues, surrounding them that Washington has had
off the field.
off the field.
So
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson asking price was 3 first rounders. Derek Carr is
yeah.
a 2 first rounder quarterback.
That's a significant drop. Plus, you're talking, it's not, no. So you're just focused on the first. Deshaun Watson is 3 first, a second,
Yeah,
maybe
I
2
know.
seconds, and a player.
And Deron Payne.
And a
but
player.
there's
So you're
no way
talking-
Derek Carr is 2 first rounders, a second, and a player. There's no way.
I didn't say a player. I said 2 firsts
2
and a
firsts,
second.
there's no way he's worth 2 firsts and a second.
I'll tell you this: if he gets traded, 100%, it's going to be 2 firsts and a second, something in that neighborhood.
I would not do that for Derek Carr.
A lot of people would. There'd
no-
probably be 10
there's-
teams that would do that
That's
if they
well,
could.
I personally wouldn't do it. That's crazy.
Yeah,
He hasn't
that's the
proven
value of a
anything.
quarterback. And Ron Rivera, again, he can't go into this season, next season, his third season. He can't go in with a rookie and a bridge. He can't do it. He can't
Yes, he
do it
can.
because he won't survive. He won't survive the season. He won't survive with whoever they're going to get 11, which is probably going to be the third or the fourth quarterback in the draft, and Taylor Heineke. He can't do it. If he does it, he's going to lose his job, and he knows that.
He said
he
if they
has
draft
to
a
go for
quarterback,
somebody.
if they draft a quarterback at 11, he's going to play day one. That's a
Yeah,
possibility.
and they're going to be 3-14, and he's going to lose his job.
You don't know that. Mac Jones was
Oh, yeah.
what? Mac Jones was what? Everybody's
The reason why they're not drafting at 11. But again, I want to
Yeah, I know.
save what they're going
That's
to
fair.
do, what Washington's
Derek
going to
Carr?
do for later.
Nothing.
I just want to say
Yeah.
whether or not Washington
Don't
should go
do
after
it.
Derek Carr.
Don't
We've got
do
a
it.
no from Trev. We got a yes,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
from Stoner. It's a yes, but.
A yes if you can't get
Yeah,
get
that's a
Sean.
yes, but. That's a yes, but. And
Mhm.
mine's a no.
Well,
No.
both of y'all, I hope you
got-
all get a lot
Stoner,
of
you
comments.
can't- Stoner, you can't.
Everyone's going to
can't
ignore
start
that I said
throwing-
no, and they're
you
just
can't
going to
start
go with you two again.
Drooling at a shiny new toy. Derek Carr has been there for years. All of a sudden, he gets to the playoffs. It's like, oh, we need Derek Carr. Why? He's been there for 8 years. Nobody said anything when we needed a quarterback 8 years ago.
Well, the Raiders did when they signed him to a $150 million deal
And that was
because they
wasting
knew
money.
they needed him.
They're
to
going to
be
have
able
to
to
decide whether or
contend.
not they're going to extend it. They could take this entire conversation and throw it in the trash by extending him tomorrow, which would
Do
do myself and Trev a big favor.
Yes.
Right. All
Right now-
I think you guys are crazy. I don't think you guys understand how desperate Ron Rivera is.
Or
I
how
don't think-
desperate
no,
Stoner is,
you
because
are.
one of the other QBs that
Hey.
Stoner would love for us to talk about is Carson Wentz. And if you've made
Oh, I
it
want to
this
talk about
long,
that one too. I'll take him over Derek
I
Carr.
tell you both right now, if we get enough comments in this comment section that want
Please,
us to
guys.
talk about Carson Wentz, I will gladly concede that we should have that conversation.
Matter of fact, don't even watch this one. Just go to the comments and type in Carson Wentz so we can talk about
Well,
that
they
one.
will have had to make it
Comments on
20
what?
minutes through this video to make sure that they get there. But let us know whether or not you think Washington should go for Derek Carr, DC to DC, or if you agree with Trevor and myself and you think that this one they should pass on. And hey, if you think that they're passing on him because they should go a different route, let us know what route you think they should go. Because personally, that's why I'm passing, is because I think they should go a different route. But we'll talk more about that later. For now,
What?
until next time,
Oh yeah. What?
be a fan.